Rise for a moment of silence, please. Thank you. And if we could all repeat the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Daphne, if you'll indicate that we do have two city council persons out, but we do have a quorum. First item on the agenda, if you've had a chance to look at the regular agenda, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Make that motion.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. You've also had a chance to look at the consent agenda items. There are two items there. I'll entertain a motion to approve.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Next item is the public comment. Did we have anybody sign up for public comment? Okay, Trent, you've got 10 seconds. No, you got 3 minutes, sir.
I wore this just because since we can't have a meeting on 4th of July, I was figured, I also had to remind everybody back there that the flag was up there, not to, say pledge allegiance to me. Sorry, that's a bad joke. I'm 40 now, so I'm in my prime dad joke era, right?
No, 40's not prime. 40's on the way down.
Oh, okay. Thanks, Ed. Thanks.
And just so people, we had a request from one of our constituents to put the timer up, so to make sure that we're not cheating people out of their time. So
It was me. I always
our
felt
IT
cheated.
person graciously put a timer on my screen here, so everybody will see when their time is up.
That makes it even more like I'm sort of sweating up here and be like, oh God, here we go. I got a timer. All right, here we go. Really start stuttering through it all. All right, well, Trip Mason, 207 Mockingbird Lane. First thing, hey, Council, nice to see you again this month. I know this is our July meeting. I'm so happy to see the Wayne Howard. We really lost somebody that cared deeply for this community, reported on us, kept us all straight and on the narrow. Sorry, that's not right. Narrow and straight. Is that, yeah. Anyway, really gonna miss Wayne. Hate to see him. He's not here. I know he's in a lot better place, and I'm sure he's still watching these. From far, far away. Moving on from that, say congratulations to the fire department. And I hate Roby's not here. Holly's his baby, and it won Best in Show. I don't. Do we get like a cool? We got a plaque for it, right?
Nice plaque.
Okay, all right. Well, we should be putting that thing on there, and we should get a trophy, and everybody kind of like the Stanley Cup, where you get the drink out of it. Everybody just have it or eat out of it, whatever you want to do with it. You get a day with it, right? Everybody in the fire department. Past that, June 9th, the Juneteenth celebration was great. We were leaving to go out of town, to the beach, so we got to ride by it, and it was like, that band they get is amazing. It is one of the best live bands that you get to see. Then Ed, I saw you at the Latin band at the Cultural Center. They were fantastic. Trying to watch my 6-year-old trying to salsa over to the side, while she was also trying to hit up Kathy Davis for more drinks and and Betty and be like, hey, can I get something else? Can I get something else? Like, stop. I was like, you're gonna make me in the poorhouse by how many bags of Doritos you're gonna eat tonight. And then last night was Shenandoah. Great crowd for that. Tonight it's live after 5, so I hope everybody, we all go from here, right down there and enjoy that. And then next week is our 4th of July parade, and fireworks celebration. Really looking forward to that. That's one of the big ones every year. I'm sure you'll be on your golf cart, Kevin. I think Ed will probably be on. Jill, make sure you get a golf cart and you be ready. You get your waving arm ready. Do the princess wave. Just up there. Just rolling by. Really looking forward to that. I'll close up with our young adult steering committee. We had our meeting a couple weeks ago. You'll see that coming back to you. We did make a decision on we're going to move to 200, 300 block. We're going to see a lot of things that are, it's not just necessarily going to be for smaller kids. You know, one of the ideas we came up with for like older kids this time is we're going to have like a video game truck. If there's anything that council has as an idea to help us for, you know, planning, I know it's 6 months away, but if there's anything that, you know, y'all have an idea, please, you know, share it with us. And, you know, if you ever want to come to the meeting, you're always more than welcome. Ooh, look at that, with 9 seconds to go. All right. We'll see y'all later.
Trent did mention Wayne Howard, and I meant to mention that before we started. It was Wayne's wishes not to have a service or anything to commemorate him, but we felt that this was only fitting because Wayne has been an institution in Lincoln County long before I got here, and he will be sorely missed. Not only as a journalist, but as a friend. Next item on the agenda is the regular agenda, and we'll start off with the capital project budget amendment, and I'll turn it over to Pam.
Good evening, council members and Mayor Hatley. In front of you, I'm going to do this individually. It is a requirement for the AIA grant that we have an actual capital project budget ordinance in place and as a part of their documentation. So Birch Environmental asked that I get these in front of you so we could get this closed out. The first one you'll see is the capital budget ordinance for the water project, which was the $100,000 project that we received from the state. All this is just basically indicating how it was appropriated by a project management distribution line, which was the evaluation from I believe it's we're waiting on McGill to do that portion of it, but the rest of it is just the CIP update that Birch and them are doing. But this is just the capital ordinance that we need to get in our documentation to submit with the finalization of this grant.
Any questions of Pam? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget ordinance.
Motion to approve.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. And Pam, you're up again.
The next budget ordinance is the same. This is just for the wastewater project. Again, everything has been done except for McGill's. This was the $300,000 AIA grant, but in addition to that, you got the board approved that we could use an additional $60,000 of the city's money for additional camera work, CTV work that was done by KRG, and that will help us get additional grants further down the road. And according to Birch Environmental, they're looking at trying to get us about going for the big money, and for them big money is like $5 million grants. So this is the same thing as the water, but this is just for the wastewater AIA grant that I need to get to them to finalize this particular grant.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget ordinance as presented.
I make a motion to approve.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, Pam.
Yay.
You're up. Budget amendment.
This is our last budget amendment for fiscal year 23-24. As you can see, it is a big budget amendment. The majority of this, I will go down in general fund. We have to, per our auditors, we have to claim or put on our books the donated property that was given to us by the county, which was the Oak Lawn property and the Water Street property. So the majority of the $1.7 million of general fund is for those two, for all of those parcels, which is going to be approximately $1.4 million that we are adding to our capital assets. So that, according there again, our auditors 2 weeks ago told us we need to make sure this was on this budget amendment to get it on our books. In addition to that, we had some overages for our franchise tax was more than we had originally budgeted. Ad valorem taxes were higher. Again, our investments have been extraordinary. So that is the majority of our general fund. One other addition to our general fund, we do have to do budget amendment we did, GASB 87. This one has got GASB 96, which is our Civitas, which is our subscriptions we have to put on our books. So that is for the NeoGov subscription, which is multiple years. That is a little over $71,000. I had to add to the particular to the general fund budget for that. The other sorry, I've had a long day and I just can't speak tonight. The majority of the rest of this is our investment interest for our other funds, distribution collections, and our other water and sewer. I did want to point out that I do have to pull out about $200,000 in fund balance in water and sewer. And the majority of that is for projects, 2 projects we had from last year you approved that were not completed until this year, which is approximately that amount of money. Because we're currently, as of today, which I'm going to go at the end, I'm going to show you where we're at like I did last time. We're a little bit over, but that has got to do, we're still waiting on some billing to do, which will flush that out. But I want to be very, very careful with what I do here, make sure that we don't get an audit exception. So that's the reason for the fund balance being pulled out. But again, the rest of this is mainly investments and normal increases in charges that we received that we did not initially budget. And the last thing is the AIA grant reimbursement portion we have received from the state, which is this is the water portion, the $11,902, and I am just putting that on the books so we can pay the reimbursement to Birch Environmental. If you have any questions, I'll be glad to answer them.
Okay, any questions of Pam?
But before you do anything, I do want to give you some good news, as I did last time. We have done very well this year, and as it's been stated before, it's not me, it's everybody. It's a team effort, and it takes a team to run a city. So our general fund right now, as of today, before I came in here, is in a surplus of a little less than $1.3 billion. That is not going to include, I know of at least 2 months worth of local sales tax, which is going to be over $700,000. So we're looking at a minimum of over $2 million to add to our general fund for this year. Power bill is right at $74,000 to the good, so that's going into fund balance. Again, water and sewer right now as of today was like $135,000 to in a deficit, but that is utility billing has not been hit. So normally on a good month we get over $300,000 plus for that. So that right there should wash out. And finally, electric has a surplus of almost $1.2 million, and that's not including about $500,000 for a utility bill that's going to hit. So overall, the city's going to have a very, very good fund balance addition this year in all funds.
Good job, Pam. Any other questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the budget amendment as presented.
Make that motion to approve it.
Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, now we're down to 4A, and we've got David coming up. And David, pace has been going pretty good. Just
very quick as well. Pam's putting money in the bank. I'm trying to do projects to spend the money. I'm hoping for approval on the contract with Edifice to be our construction manager at risk for the Excel building. I haven't had an opportunity to review the contract. I know Richie has, and I'm not sure whether John did or not. But from what I understand, it's a pretty standard contract in the construction. It's for, this will take us from, they've already been with us for 2 meetings that they weren't officially under contract with, but this will take us all the way up to the construction phase. All the design, all the as-built, everything for this project until we get to the construction phase, and then we would go into a construction agreement contract with them. It's for a little over $100,000. And that a little over $10,000, that is a contingency. So they normally charge about 1% of what they think the budget for the project's going to be. It's how they came up with this amount. But for us, it did about 0.8%. So pretty standard stuff for a construction manager at risk projects.
And the 2 meetings they've been in with us so far, with staff and the architect, they've already seen things that we can change with the design that's going to save us money. And that's why it was so important having them on the front end, because you're not putting all those hours in trying to design something that's not going to work for us and something that's going to cost more. So we've already had that conversation. We've already saved more than what we're going to pay them by having them on the front end. So I definitely think this is why you're seeing more municipalities and counties and school systems go to this format.
They understand that we don't have a $50 million project here. They know what we want to do with our budget, and we're trying to get the most for a buck.
Any questions of David? If not, I'll entertain a motion to approve the contract.
I'll make that motion to approve.
Motion by Jill. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, David. Okay. Last item on the agenda. Richie, I'll turn it over to you.
It's an AI. Yeah. Thank you, Mayor. Before you have a contract with Placer AI, this is the company that we approved to do the geofencing, and they do so much more than that. I mean, basically they're looking at foot traffic in our downtown. We can do it outside the downtown. We can do it anywhere in our city limits. The reason I wanted to go ahead and get the contract in place is because I'm going to ask them to geofence for July 4th. So that tells us where people are coming from, where did they go before, where did they go after. It also will help us to know where people are located as far as the fireworks and whether there's a better spot, which right now this is the only spot we have to shoot. But it also gives us, like I say, that some demographics that we're not able to pull from any other way. But I wanted to get that now so we can go ahead and start using them July 4th.
Any questions? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Motion to do that.
Okay. Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. No other business?
We were wanting to put before you an agreement professional services. We were contacted by this group about PFAS, which is a forever chemical.
Oh.
And we knew through the state, we went through a testing program with them. Everything they're looking at is parts per trillion. That's a big number, I know, but still, this is something that they're having to do because of all the issues they've had in the eastern part of the state. At one time, the standard was 10 parts per trillion, but now they've lowered it to 4. And we were testing somewhere between 4 and 5 on our intake, not our outtake, but our intake. But there has been a class action lawsuit with 3M, DuPont, and a few other ones. And we had an opportunity if we wanted to pull out of it and do our own lawsuit, but John and I felt like we didn't have the resources to take that on. So we stayed in, but we have to have an application put in to be a part of it by July the 12th, I think it is. So needed to get this approved. This company will do all the legwork for us and represent us. It's not only a law firm, but it's also a company that handles environmental issues and so forth. What I would like to do, because John's not had a opportunity to really go through this contract and vet it out, is for us to direct him to do that. And if he's comfortable with it, then he can direct me to go ahead and go into the contract with them. Now, they're like any law firm. They're going to get their cut of it. We're probably looking somewhere between $600,000 to 1.3, 1.4, and they would get 33% of that. But
You talking about this one?
yes,
Oh, I have reviewed this.
you have okay,
Yeah.
all right.
And I made some notes on it. We do it at, not to butt in, but there are some issues with this, and to clarify, if I understand things correctly, the gentleman has been emailing you and Pam.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure who else, because there was a lot of folks on that email. He works for a company that, they're not a law firm. They're basically a litigation assist firm of some sort. I'm not sure the exact term that they use. But that was, when you look at
That's
the
the-
agreement,
yeah,
it's
that's
the
them,
second
yeah.
part, yeah. So now, and the issue there is, again, they handle the filings and they take care of the administrative work, but they're not attorneys. That's the first contract, which is the agreement for professional services with Environmental Litigation Group. They're out of Alabama, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
All they do is environmental litigation. And when I went through the contracts, the big issues that I see, and that I think we'd have some ability to maybe negotiate with them, would be, I wasn't real comfortable with 1E, and that's under services, where they basically want the okay to just hire anybody they want to hire. And if it's their normal folks, not an issue, but if it's more expensive than their normal folks, then they'll talk to us about it. I kind of want them to talk to us if they hire anybody, simply because if this class action suit goes the way I think it's going to go, it's going to be a payout from DuPont or Chemours. And we really shouldn't need those experts. I just want them to talk to us first, be it me, Richie, it doesn't matter. And that's one of the other things that we need to put in this contract, is who our contact person is going to be. So I just want to make sure it's someone that's going to get the notice, and then ultimately check in with me and say, hey, this is what they want to do. Are we okay with that? So that would be under E. I'd want to just modify that one. And that's under the legal services part of this packet. And that's with the law firm. They're at 33%. The CAC is at, and that's the administrative group, they're at 11%. So we're talking 44% total of, whatever we would see. Now, that all being said, if we, like you were talking about, if we had gotten out of the lawsuit, or if we were gonna, file our own class action claim, that is all stuff way above or over what I
Yeah,
normally
over
do.
mine.
Yeah, it could, I don't even think we've ever had a class action suit here in Lincoln County. So it's not something that I certainly routinely do. I would have to go and find counsel anyhow. These folks, I'm not sure how they got hooked up with us. I guess they contacted family.
I would assume they probably got a list of all the
Plaintiffs.
cities that were plaintiffs or had
Right.
been through the testing process.
So
Is
when
this
it,
for soil contamination or exactly what?
No, it's well, I guess it is to a degree, but it's in the water. There is probably more likely there was a company in Morganton that most likely, but I agree with John. How do we prove how we got our 4 parts per trillion? I don't know how you would even go about, because how do you prove that? And these larger companies have already settled, so you're not, it's going to be harder and harder to go after them.
yeah,
This is kind of like a class action lawsuit.
It is.
It
yeah.
is, and that's, and as an attorney, I don't look too favorably upon them. I like the idea that we can sue these big companies that are doing this stuff, and you can do it as a class action, because then it gives you the power to come in as a stronger unit as a plaintiff. The negative is the few named plaintiffs and the attorneys they hire tend to take the lion's share of the benefit. And most everybody else involved gets basically table scraps. Here, it's potentially a little bit different because, we're a municipality, and we are talking about a rather large sum if this resolves the way it sounds like it's going to. So with that being said, I would agree with the city jumping on board, getting involved. Yes, we could certainly look at maybe knocking that 11% additional fee off, but these folks are already, at least right now, on top of it. As long as they stay on top of it once we sign up, and that's one of the things we can do. We can, make a little bit of noise and be the squeaky wheel if need be.
Yeah.
And it is contingency based. We're not paying up front. there's no expense to the city.
If you don't win or you don't get anything, you don't pay anything.
Yeah.
Who are we jumping on board with? I mean, what cities are, what is it, what river are we talking about that?
Well, it's everywhere.
It's everywhere.
It's everywhere. I'll tell you where this
Cities
came
across the
from.
state?
Cape Fear. And when I say our numbers on the intake, meaning we're pulling out of the river, we're at that 4.5 parts per trillion. So you got to realize that's parts per trillion. Cape Fear, some of those municipalities their outtake was like 18 or 19 parts per trillion. So that's after it was filtered.
Yeah.
And I'm sure we're going to see regulation come down from the state eventually on how we treat our water, and are there filtration systems that are better than others for this and so forth. That's somewhere down the road.
So we do this, we jump on board, we get our little piece of the pie. What then does the city do with that piece of the pie?
Well, my recommendation is it goes to fund balance, and we sit back and figure out what's the state going to require us to do on the filtration part. Now, as y'all know, we have a double filtration at the plant because we utilized our old system and the new system. So I don't know what our true numbers are, but I do think there is going to be something that they're going to have in place that's going to help clear this out. But these are forever chemicals. Once they're in you, they're in you. They don't come out. And it's not just the companies that might have disposed of it. I mean, it's and Todd provided a list of all the things that these chemicals are in. It's baking goods. I mean, your non-stick pans, the little foil that was in your popcorn bag. I mean, we've been using it for years, and it's just now they figured out that they were not beneficial to the people that were utilizing them. It was also municipalities were using it in foam to fight fires, mainly for more industrial and anything that dealt with gasoline and so forth. But that's years ago. If you went to a airport hangar, that fire suppression system, it had it in there as well. So it's not a but these companies, I guess because of not knowing, they've paid out billions.
So our thought process then would be to use the funds to mitigate.
Well,
see what the state's going to.
And I would assume if we have something that comes down from the feds or the state, hopefully it'll come with some grant money that we can utilize if there is a need for us to do something in our plans. But
Just don't bank on any money right now.
no,
I'm not.
the good thing is we don't have any investment in it. It'll
And that's the key here. If we stay in the class and we do receive a recovery, it would be less the attorney's fees, the CAC's fees, so that'd be 44%, and then it would be less any expenses that are incurred from experts, et cetera. That was one of the issues that I would like to clarify with them, that they're going to talk to us first.
And that's why I wanted for y'all to instruct John to review it and make sure he's comfortable before you instruct me to actually sign on, because this all came up this week. That's why it wasn't on the agenda. But we know we've got a deadline of July 12th that it has to be in.
Yeah, and I'm okay with the contracts, other than, I want us to have some notice if we're going to be hiring experts and everything else. We're not paying for those experts, and we only pay for them if there's a recovery. But I still want to know about that, because what I don't want to have is we get a recovery, say it's $100,000, and then we find out we spent $110 on experts that we didn't need. So the city's not on the hook unless we recover, and then it's coming out of that chunk of the pie that we get out, if we get it out of the class section settlement, if there is such a settlement.
Okay.
So I think there will be.
This is just basically covering our tracks so that if there is a.
Well, the one thing we know, if we don't do anything by July 12th, we know what we're going to get. Like I said, I just felt more comfortable with John reviewing it and making sure we cross our T's, dot our I's, and we're not doing something that's going to be harmful to the city.
Yeah.
And I think that's, like I say, I think that's the easiest way to do it, is just instruct him to review and make sure he's comfortable before I would sign on, or Pam would sign on, or whatever.
And I don't see anything harmful out of signing up. I think the positive thing is that we are protecting the city, and that if we are part of this settlement and we are entitled to file a claim and receive compensation, that we get it. I mean, it'll be less what, we're essentially paying a law firm and a administrative company to take care of it. It's either that or we have to go hire counsel.
This is giving us an opportunity to be in the ball game, if the ball game comes to it.
I will say that I think we're looking at the same amount of fees, even if we hired another law firm. The only delta there would be the CAC.
I'm surprised it's not over 50%.
Yeah, 40%. I wasn't going to be surprised if I saw that. It was 33. I was like, okay. And I think a large part of that is because I think the environmental litigation group that they hire continually works with CAC. And basically CAC goes through, figures out who the plaintiffs are, contacts the plaintiffs, gets them signed up, i.e. the city here in our instance, brings in this law firm to handle litigation, and they try to obtain a recovery. And if they do, they get paid. If they don't, we're not paying them. Because we're not contractually obligated to pay them anything.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to proceed with the possible litigation as outlined.
Yeah, we'll motion to do that. We'll,
Okay.
let's task him with
Yeah.
checking it out, and if it's good, send it to Richie and go ahead and sign on.
Follow up. Motion by Kevin. Any discussion? Being none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Now, I think that's, is there anything else? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Kevin made the motion. Any discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. We are adjourned.
Yeah.